Oh, Pak izin Pak,
Cuma
ini udah
memang
lengkap Pak.
putus-putus.
Oh iya. Apa boleh kita mulai Pak?
Ya, saya pikir sudah 63 orang, silakan.
Siap. Mohon izin Mbak Reva, silakan Mbak.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Johari. Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera semua. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good afternoon. First of all, let us say thanks to God who has given us guidance, happiness, healthy, and mercy, so we can attend and participate in this webinar, workshop, risk management profiles, and indicator for BKIPM. I would like to welcome to the Honorable Mr. Insinyur Teguh Samudro MP, the head of System Standardization and Compliance Center BKIPM Ministry Marine and Fisheries, the Honorable Mr. James Lenehan, Trade Facilitation Expert Rice Plus Indonesia, the Honorable Mr. Andreja Zivkovic, International Trade Law Consultant Rice Plus Indonesia, the Honorable Director of Export and Import Facilitation, Directorate General of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Trade or Representative, the Honorable Secretary of BKIPM or Representative, the Honorable Head of Fish Quarantine Center BKIPM or Representative, the Honorable Head of Quality Control Center BKIPM or Representative, the Honorable Head of Technical Implementing Units around Indonesian area, and all the participants of the webinar today. Before I read the agenda for this webinar, let me give you a pantun. Makan nasi di rumah Rahmat, lauknya pakai sambal ikan. Mari kita mulai dengan senyum semangat, agar seminar ini terasa menyenangkan.
Amin.
On this webinar, we have several agenda as follows. Opening speech by Mr. Teguh Samudro, and then welcome remark by Mr. James Legenin, and first material about risk management profiles and indicators by Mr. Andreja Zivkovic, and then coffee break. Second material about case study about selected HS code mirror analysis and other case by Mr. Andreja Zivkovic. And then third material is a discussion about the principal inhibitor method of risk management profiles and indicator by Mr. Andreja Zivkovic and lead by Mr. James Legenin. And the last session is discussion, question, and answer by all participants. Okay, step on the following agenda is opening speech and direction from the head of BKIPM, represented by Mr. Teguh Samudro. Time is yours.
Thank you, Reva. You receive a voice, Reva?
Ya, Pak. Clear.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Best wishes for all of us. The Honorable Rice Plus Indonesia Secretariat, the Honorable Mr. James Lenehan, Trade Facilitation Expert, the Honorable Mr. Andreja Zivkovic, Risk Management Expert, the Honorable Director of Facilitation Export and Import, Ministry of Trade, the Honorable Secretary of FQIA, the Honorable Director of Center for Fish Quarantine, the Honorable Director of Center of Fish Quality Control, the Honorable Coordinator and Sub-Coordinator of FQIA, the Honorable Head of Technical Implementation Unit of FQIA, The distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, let us thanks to Allah as with the God Almighty for you. Upon His blessing, we are able attending the risk management conceptual framework webinar in good health. First of all, I want to express my gratitude to Rise Plus Indonesia, who capacity and experience in implementing risk management. This event is of webinar risk management that held on 28 July 2021. So the workshop will be more and specific cases and case study. The workshop will be held virtually via Zoom meeting 19 November 2021 with general objective of strengthen risk management practices and effectiveness for fish quarantine agent from 47 technical implementing unit of FQIA all over Indonesia and for invited guests from other ministries or agency. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, Rise Plus Indonesia supporting FQIA is a scheme to strengthen coordination between European Union by enhancing Indonesia capacity and competitiveness in the international trade. FQIA also has a role fish and fishery product trade flows smoothly to the international market. Moreover, FQIA has responsibilities to protect aquatic sustainability from harmful disease and ensure that the fishery products are in good quality and safe to be consumed. These roles are applied at point within Republic in Indonesia area or at the country's border, including pre-border, at border, and post-border. Risk management is one way to minimize risk before the occurring by identifying the possibility of risk happen internally or externally. And then risk analysis is based on the level probability and severity or recognize if the risk can be beneficial opportunity. Several examples of risk, qualitative and quantitative approach are decision tree analysis, probability and consequence matrix, SWIFT, structure what if techniques, analysis, and sensitivity analysis. Decision making based on the analysis result, if necessary, conducting prevention, detection, action. Therefore, the implementation of risk management in an organization, especially FQIA, can accelerate efficient and effective decision making for fish quarantine agent in the field, which can reduce workload, dwelling time, and cost. And finally, enhancing quality of public services and at the same time carrying out quarantine measures and controlling quality and safety of fishery product. In addition, risk management will not fully be implemented without the support from other ministry or agency in the custom, such as custom, immigration, CIQ. Hence, in this important strengthen harmonization of integrated monitoring. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of deepening knowledge and implementation of risk management in the international trade is one of the requirements as member of W under the Trade Facilitation Agreement, Chapter 7.4, on the implementation of risk management on control of import, export, and transit commodity. FUA in the future, I'm to implement risk management by analyzing risk based on the commodities of fish and fishery product. Monitoring will be differentiated based on the fish commodity in low risk category and high risk category. High risk commodities should be brought to fish quarantine installation in the entry post for further quarantine measure, while the low risk commodity can be issued with a release certificate. Based on this category, fish quarantine should not conduct quarantine measures to all import commodity and can reduce time and use the human resource effectively. Honorable guests and ladies and gentlemen, through this training, participants have an opportunity to gain knowledge and information directly from an expert who has experience in risk management in the international level. Moreover, it can be a discussion platform and gathering information from participants for input and evaluation data to determine future regulation. Finally, I would like to thank to all participants who can attend this workshop until finish. With all its limitations in pandemic, I also want to appreciate the support from Secretariat of Rice Plus Indonesia and Center of Standardization System and Compliance team who organized this workshop. Because the pandemic has not been ended yet, let us always remind each other to comply with health protocol by conducting 5 activities: mask, washing hand, physical distancing, avoid crowd, and limiting interaction. Most of all, thank you very much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Teguh. Okay, before we going to the material, please turn on the camera for photo session. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next slide. 1, 2, 3. Next slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the last slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Next, I want to give pantun for the last. Penyanyi Indonesia namanya Afgan. Punya lagu judulnya Cinta Dua Hati.
Cakep.
Mari mulai bahas permasalahan. Saatnya untuk memperhatikan materi.
Terima kasih.
Yeah. Okay, the second agenda is introduction to the purpose and agenda of the webinar by Mr. James Lehnen. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, Ibu Rivani. Thank you. Selamat siang. Good afternoon, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to introduce this webinar today. I would like to thank you all for attending. Specifically, I would like to acknowledge the presence and contributions of the distinguished guests and senior management from BKIPM, Ministry of Marine and Fisheries. And in particular, I would like to thank, for his opening address, the Honourable Pak Teguh Samudra, Director of System Standardization and Compliance at the Fish Quarantine and Inspection Agency. Also, thank you, Ibu Rani, for her introduction and MC role, and also Pak Ahmed Juanawi, the BKIPM Arise Plus coordinator, for all his hard work behind the scenes. I would also like to give a special mention to our excellent risk management expert, Andrea Zivkovic, who will be presenting to you today. I'm sure you will be impressed with his technical knowledge and his enthusiasm for the subject matter. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is James Lenihan, and I am a key expert responsible for trade facilitation on the Arise Plus Indonesia project. Arise Plus Indonesia is a 4-year technical assistance program. It is funded by the European Union and has been formulated and agreed upon in partnership with the Government of Indonesia. This webinar is funded under the trade facilitation component of the Arise Plus program, which supports Indonesia in meeting the requirements of the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, and in particular Article 7.4, which encompasses risk management. As has been mentioned by Pak Teguh, the primary objective of this workshop is to help BKIPM officials better understand and develop risk management profiles and indicators that focus on principal issues of concern, such as high-risk countries, high-risk commodities, and high-risk traders. Today's webinar will last for approximately 3 hours. There will be a 15-minute coffee break at 2:30. And as has been mentioned, the agenda has scheduled items for discussion and questions and answers at the end of the webinar. However, I am sure that Andrea will be glad to address your questions at any time if they're appropriate to what's being discussed at that juncture. So I trust you'll find this webinar informative and helpful. And if there are no questions, I shall give the floor to our risk management expert, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you, James. Thank you, Mr. Sanduro, and special thanks to Mr. Ahmed Jauhari. It was almost for 2 months in extensive exchange of information. Of course, thank you for your valuable inputs on the risk management survey that I submitted. So practically provide us with the general information regarding the level and status of risk management in your organization. As Mr. Sanduro emphasized, risk management is practically balance between the trade facilitation and control. And risk management is really a technique that the current volume of trade and growing of economies must be implemented in order to allow legitimate cargos to flow, and of course you as an agency to focus on and to allocate the resources on the both human and technology on the high risk consignments. So basically it looks like it's very simple, the technique, but behind there is a lot of let's say a lot of complexity that needs to be implemented. As Mr. Sanduro emphasized, there is a lot of recommended techniques by World Customs Organization and World Trade Organization in regards to risk management, but of course a lot of pre-requests needs to be in place instead of, in order to start to use those complex analyses. So I will start with the presentation of general risk. Risk as a general as defined by international organization, with focus on World Customs Organization, on using the materials from Risk Management Compendium Volume 1 and 2. And we will go briefly through this presentation. So let me start now. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, Andrea.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, we will be focused now on principles that govern risk identification, risk analysis, evaluation, and prioritization, and of course profiling as a end results of this stage. Mr. Sanduro already mentioned about the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, the Article 7.4, and and also that is related to Article 7.1 on acceptance of documents and data before arrival of the consignment or presented to customs and to other regulatory agencies. I would like also to mention the revised Kyoto Convention on simplification of customs procedure, where practically it's emphasized that risk management technique is necessary in order to allow free flow of goods and balance the, as I mentioned before, trade facilitation and facilitation and control. Especially Chapter 6 of revised Kyoto Convention, the General Annex, focus on customs control and other regulatory agencies and emphasize the need to minimize the intervention in cargo movements and maximize level of trade facilitation by apply the risk management controls. So this is basically the whole philosophy behind the World Customs Organization revised Kyoto Convention. It's one single sentence, but covers saying everything practically. Next, it's let's say relatively new standard. This is WCO same framework standard to secure and facilitate global trade. This is a bit advanced, let's say, for it's a new standard that practically allowed to harmonize the advanced electronic cargo information on all shipment modes, consistent risk management to approach and address security threats that are identified by the documents, of course, and goods presented to customs and regulatory agencies, and of course defining the benefits that the regulatory agency will provide to businesses that to meet the minimal supply chain security standards and best practices to practically encourage with partnership with trade. So basically, safe work standards. It's practically requiring the regulatory agencies and customs to open the dialogue and to identify the potential risks. So this is let's say of course not to share the regulatory agency and customs not to share the risks with the traders, but also to listen to them and see where the obstacles and where the problems are. So basically, the public-private partnership in risk management became more and more important. A few words about the history. So the risk management is defined by Australia-New Zealand Standard 4360 from 2004 and updated in 2005. And this become as a standard for enterprise risk management. ISO defined the risk management standards with the ISO 31000 2018. This is the latest. The previous one was 2009, and the revised version is in 2018. And this is the 2018 is especially focused on organization matter. So basically, now the risk management is defined as a organizational culture. It should be integrated on practically on all levels within the organization. So that's the main difference between those two standards. I need to mention also the revised Kyoto, World Customs Organization Compendium Volume 1 and 2. Compendium Volume 1, it's focused more on organizational issue and potential improvements by providing certain scenarios how the other customs administration or regulatory agencies implement the risk management. But I must emphasize that this Risk Management Compendium 1 was drafted in 2006, and it's already, from technology point of view, from IT, it's outdated. But of course, WCO is putting a lot of effort to update this, and as I heard, they will practically start quite soon to draft the new version. Now, if you allow me, this is practically the World Customs Organization presents the risk in the supply chain as a cycle, perpetuum cycle. Basically, it's called learning cycle practically, but what I can say it's practically also an important guide that even the IT systems and your practice needs to be aligned with this management cycle. So basically, the risk management cycles start with risk assessment. And this is the first three steps: risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation and prioritization. So basically, risk analysis, risk identification, it's more I can say on a strategic level, because the management, the high level management, and let's say in relation to other government instructions related to supply chain risk needs to be of course followed, and the risk areas needs to be identified in a general terms. So basically, the first step it's to have risk identification, but as I mentioned, on the strategic level. The second point is the second part is practically the translation of these strategic risk objectives or areas from the tactical or mid-level management within organization. They need to translate into operational guidelines or risk management policy. But again, I need to emphasize that this cannot be a general one. Of course, it should be one general, but the other policies needs to be focused on specific risk areas. This is a very important to have a clear distinction between the risk areas. At the end, they need to, of course, communicate together, and they will work on the same platform. And maybe there is a lot of, let's say, same or similar indicators that can be merged. It can be, or some risk profiles can be enhanced because of this merging of this, indicators and profiles. So practically, end user of this risk analysis is basically the operation or officers on the field. So basically, using those operational structure, risk profile and indicators, and of course, I'm sure that most of your, or if not all of your officers, are well with very good knowledge and of course intuition to identify the risk apart of this, let's say, indicators and profiles that are provided by from the tactical level. So the next stage, it's going back. I need to emphasize that there is also so-called risk about risk, and especially on strategic level, this needs to be taken into account. This is a lot of factors or sources of risk can influence on your daily job related to risk management. This is, let's say, political circumstances, government policy decisions, new or signing of bilateral, multilateral agreements. Another risk, it's also technological issues such as follow up the technological development, because the traders are always a step behind, and the smugglers that 2-3 steps in advance of regulatory agencies and customs, and they're quite, you'll see, they're quite inventive. Next, it's economic circumstances within the country, but also regional, on the regional level. If there is any political or economic instability in the region, this can also affect the country. And extreme events, I would like to just to mention the catastrophic event in the port of Lebanon, where practically port of Beirut, sorry, where practically Lebanon is now without a port, without any sea connections. So those are risks that you cannot, let's say, influence on, but those needs to be taken into account. But as I mentioned, this is just as a precaution, not to be always in, but once it's like a contingency plan for risk management. Once drafted, and in case of this risk appears, that you really need to react immediately in order to continue with your normal work. So regarding the risk analysis, there is a plenty of sources today. First, I would like to emphasize that you are one of, let's say, few countries that are receiving the data in pre-arrival manner. So practically, the companies are obliged to apply for permits for import, and basically you are receiving the data far in advance before the goods are presented. So you can apply risk on this level, because I visited in 2018 the Indonesian single window, and I'm not sure now about the progress, but the plan was to have a integrated risk management system that all regulatory agencies and customs will play active role in determining the risk, creating the risk indicators, and identify the risk indicators, and creating the profiles. So from this point of view, from risk analysis point of view, this is a very valuable source of information. So, but you cannot take nothing in, let's say, legal measures in advance, because the procedure starts when the goods are presented to customs or to regulatory agencies. So practically, this will allow you to allocate the resources and focus on this high risk consignment based on the pre-arrival. Another valuable as a historical data, it's the custom system. So the custom declaration processing system. So basically, new identify risks or combination of new identify risk indicators, and you can combine with the old one and test in a based on historical data that is in the system. So this is a very important to see how this risk perform based on historical data, and how you can basically adjust the risk indicators accordingly to see what is the best way to let's say merge or to say even divide one risk profile into several or group more risk profile into one. So this is a live matter, so you cannot it's not basically it used to be 25 years ago, it used to be the risk management was set it and forget it. So basically the risk profiles were always in the system without any further, let's say, changes or testing or so now this is a live matter and really need to react quite quickly. The third and important, this will it's practically the last, but now we're talking about risk analysis. So basically, the seizures of the detained databases it's a very important source of information because because you have a clear picture from the seizure, what happened, what was the modus operandi, method of consignments, and many other details that can enhance the risk identification. So another is what I would like to propose, and it's very useful. I have an example later on. Like if you want, I can present to you. This is the WCO CEN, Central Enforcement Network, and it's mostly related to the goods like drugs, cigarettes, weapon. There is a general goods, but what is important, you need to follow the seizures and detain of goods where not that happened only in Indonesia, but where any Indonesian subject was involved. So Indonesia can be country of export or country of departure in case of airport, for example. Indonesia can be a transit or transshipment country, and seizure that are made outside of Indonesia, but some Indonesian subject is involved, a vessel, means of transport, person, whatever. So this is also thanks to internet today and thanks to WCO CEN Central Enforcement database. You have a lot of information related to the seizures, and another valuable, what I see as a valuable source of information is container control program. Yes, it's already in place in Indonesia, but it's implemented. But it's very important to use. For example, they have a public Facebook profile, and every single seizure daily there is at least two or three seizures with drugs published on the Facebook. So this is another, let's say, valuable information, especially that commodities that are under your responsibility, fish and fishery products, I think are used quite often because they are perishable goods. They are used quite often as a cover load. So risk management compendium volume 2, it's also providing cover loads that are used for drugs, for weapons, for any other, let's say, goods, and of course, yeah. Next one is mirror analysis. That's a part of today's presentation as well, where UN TradeCom data is used. Basically, every country in the world, they are obliged to send their trade data from the customs system to UN TradeCom data. This is extremely valuable because again your sources of information are limited, but mirror analysis allows you to concentrate on three major say risks. First is country of origin or country of export. The second is classification, and the third one is valuation. Of course, valuation or value of the goods is not your primary aspect, but you can provide valuable information to customs in terms of to secure and to increase the revenue, and to identify possible undervaluation in the goods. What I would like to emphasize as well, it's the new initiative, Singaporean customs. It's ready, and I think they start exchange information with Thailand. So they are providing through us a single window custom declaration in advance. Basically, whenever goods are released for any procedure in Singapore and country, it's country of destination or country of export, it's Indonesia, you can receive this information in advance. The data, it's practically it's a custom data, and it's based on the ASEAN custom declaration data set. But also, I'm not sure. I will kindly ask because later on, if someone can explain your communication with other country, especially with the fishery agencies of other countries. But we'll leave this after the break. And of course, public information like general newspaper. You can use any kind of text mining systems. That there is plenty of open system that can collect newspaper articles based on keywords. So you can use many languages: English, Dutch, I don't know, French, Russian, whatever. And then at the end, it's not a very expensive paid service from Google that can translate practically this. And text mining is providing a lot of from public sources, a lot of information as well. This is sometimes a very valuable source of information. And open source, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. People are at least here in Balkans, in Europe, people are selling smuggled goods through Facebook. I know by heart that there is other platforms in the ASEAN region, and there's plenty of fake mobile phones, laptops, a lot of food. It's also sold through e-commerce, and now e-commerce become a big problem for on the worldwide level. Of course, because me as a buyer, I'm buying the goods that is not that I am not aware of the quality. I'm paying in advance, so it's near to impossible to receive the money back if the goods are not with the required quality. And of course, this is a nightmare for regulatory agencies and customs because of the amount. We are calling this high volume, low value shipments, and this is practically this explode with the COVID-19 outbreak. So and it's expecting to be even more, let's say, expanded. But as I heard, Alibaba already started to exchange information with several countries. The same plans is with Amazon, and the only platform that I know, and there is another two, I think, in the ASEAN. It's eBay, and I'm not fan of eBay in your region, because it's a peer-to-peer, and there is no connection in between to identify the price and to exchange. So this quite soon, I think, will be solved. World Customs Organization is quite pushing a lot on this. Next step, it's risk evaluation prioritization. This is practically to identify the risk level based on probability and consequences. So it's a simple matrix with the low, medium, and high. But in my document, we recommend we recommend to use 5x5 matrix, which is a bit more flexible, and it can practically define the risk in more depth. At the same time, based on this matrix, you need to, of course, allocate the resources and identify the consequences and impacts of the risk, and basically to adverse risk that it can be if it can be absorbed, or let's say it's not significant and it's not worth, let's say, to work on it. But when you group similar risks that are not, let's say, under this category, then really low treatment or treatment without existing workflow, at the end it can be a big amount. That's why it is recommended to use to have a specialized person or persons that will deal with this low treatment and follow them, of course, on a daily basis. Preparation profiling is practically grouping the indicators into profiles. I'm not sure about Indonesian single window, but Customs is the only, let's say, agency that is trained to create and to merge or to divide several risk profiles and risk indicators. This is a very important stage when other more sophisticated IT tools should be employed, like data mining. Currently, I think Singapore and Hong Kong, they are and Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, they are implementing the artificial intelligence algorithms in the preparation, profiling, and testing those in the system. The next stage is targeting. This is done by the system, and practically the officer will receive if of course custom declaration or request for permits certificate or LPCO will practically if the risk profile hit any of this, the officer will receive the clear instruction in which area he needs to be focused and what to looking for. So basically, targeting is a systems category, but again, it's providing the input into covering and treatment where your officers and together with customs and other regulatory agencies needs to provide the control. Now, after control is finished, practically the feedback, this is one of the most important, as I mentioned. The feedback from control, it's one of the most important tasks and also source of information in order to measure the performance of the risks. So basically, evaluation, it doesn't matter if it's a positive, if there is any results, or it's negative, so no results. needs to be entered for every single hit, for every single risk profile. That's why it's important to have a clear feedback from the control, and also this is the concept learn on mistakes. So basically, by measuring the performance of the risk profiles, then it's easy to let's say further adjust the risk indicators and risk profiles. So this is one of the very important parts. And as I mentioned, also the actions that are taken even when nothing was found, or the shipments and documents were fully compliant. This needs to be entered in the system because of the performance of the risks. So now we are going deeper in the risk profilings. So basically, as I mentioned, profile assist customs and regulatory agencies to make a new choice. It's practically impossible to make any check on all, or what we call this red tape, 100% check on all consignments and of course passengers. So that's why risk management, it's practically it's a tool to identify and to divide or to make fragmentation of the risks. So to divide them according to the risk evaluation and prioritization. So as I mentioned, the first step is identify the risk area. This is more on the strategic level, of course, where the managers they need to identify and to provide the tactical or mid management with the information about the risk areas. Then these risk areas, and based on the feedback, of course, because it's top-down, down-top communication. The selectivity criteria practically are defined by the mid management. Of course, risk indicators. This is quite, let's say, complex. As I mentioned, this can be done through the risk analysis based on historical data, seizures, open source information. So all of this needs to be collected and adjusted according to the selectivity criteria into risk areas. So you cannot generalize. And of course, a risk profile, it's a combination of risk indicators. Basically, putting one risk profile with one risk indicator. For example, country of origin, I don't know, China, then 100% red channel. This is not a profile. That's why you need to focus more on specific, let's say, commodities or means of transport or a modus operandi, type of goods, or many other combination of indicators that can enhance the risk profile. So risk profile, even the new systems practically are using. I'll skip this. I'll go back. New system are using so-called score system. So basically, the list of high-risk countries. Let's say I'll mention China. I'm sorry that I'm using China and the other countries, but let's say China can be let's say scored with 40 points, and then I don't know, Philippines with 30, and then the next list can be a list of goods. And for example, I don't know, Pacific salmon can be high risk. So combination China and salmon, their score, for example, if it's 40, it's China, and then 30, it's salmon. The total is 70. Usually, the risk management system that are using scoring, they are, let's say, 70. It's a kind of border where up the 70s, it's a red channel, so full control. Between 30 and 70, it's documentary control, and below it's risk. So the new systems, scoring system, is more flexible, and also it's very suitable to implement data mining, because data mining can also dive deep into hidden connections that you as an analyst or your analyst cannot be aware of it. So this is also a very important aspect. When it comes to the passenger, and also I mean, I can say crew vessels, it's also important. For example, here you have a certain patterns that age 20, 25, and 27 male on Sunday between 8:30 and 9. There was a seizure of drugs, for example. This is practically we have the same on Monday. No, Monday 9:30 on Monday, and we have mail on Thursday. But let's focus on this too. So basically, if you're using the prediction analysis and you see the pattern that, for example, the age, the sex and gender, and day of the week and time of the seizure are same or similar. So basically, you need to allocate those resources on Sunday, targeting the age between 25 and 27, or extend this, depends, because you have on Tuesday 41, on Monday you have 30, and 26 on Thursday. So this is, so we can say between 25 and 40 male, and the time depends, as you can see here. Monday 9:30, 8:30, then it's Monday again 9:30, and Thursday at 2 o'clock. So basically, it provides with the seizures, the behavior of the as well, the behavior of the offendant. You can identify and allocate the resources. In this case, it will be, for example, Sunday between I don't know, 6 in the morning till 10, from 6 to 10 in the morning, and the target can be, as I mentioned, 25 to 40 as a male. This is also the same. It's with the shipments, of course, with the cargo. As I mentioned, fish is used a lot in the as a cover load, because fish needs to be, especially fresh fish, needs to be cleared and checked quite quickly, and the smugglers are using, and also it's not expensive. I mean, usually they are not using the expensive commodity to smuggle the goods, but even in some cases, of course, fresh fish is not very. Sometimes it's luxury in terms of price. So basically, here we have also we can identify some patterns. and again, based on the shipping line, consignment or modus operandi, cargo type, which is cover loads, and what drugs were refined. So those practically, again, with simple analysis, it provides with idea where you can focus on. Now it's the as I mentioned, this is steps where really you need to. This can be practically your guidelines how to identify and develop the profile. The first is to collect the available data. As I mentioned, many sources. So concept of big data, it's become reality in many countries where regulatory agencies and customs are using a single data repository to create a so-called big data concept. I think Indonesian single window it's a perfect tool because all of you are connected there, and I think it's a perfect tool to use as a data layer. Evaluate the structure and chart data. This is a bit difficult because there is a many of data sources that are not related, and that's why there is a so-called techniques, NoSQL and data mining and artificial intelligence. They can find the hidden connections between the. You'll see later on. For example, there is a company, there is a means of transport in our examples, but you can easily identify this by searching your data and of course data that is available. Next step is analysis. We discussed already this part. Establish, disseminate, activate profile, obtain feedback. I need to emphasize again, this is a critical moment where really you need to get proper information, even when there is no findings. So basically, based on this, of course, all of these inputs to modify the profile. So this is an example where in country A, certain port has been identified as a port for drug smuggling. So the team is tasked to identify the situation and develop a profile. So basically, what are the possible source of information? It's a seizure report, manifest, intelligent data, interview the customs officer, customs broker. So intelligence is one of really of cornerstone or backbone of risk management. I can give you my latest experience in Ghana. In Western Africa, it's now El Dorado, let's call it, or quite it's used. The ports in western coast of Africa is quite often used for transit and transshipment of drugs coming from South America, and we are focused now on the export of non-traditional goods like mango, jam, cassava, chili peppers that are exported in Europe from Africa, but of course mixed with drugs. There's plenty of cases, not only from Ghana, but also from Senegal, from Nigeria, from Cote d'Ivoire. So basically, they are using the ports that are not well equipped, and customs administration and regulatory agencies that are not well trained on risk management, and they're using those ports for transiting the cocaine from South Africa. And opposite happens on the eastern part of Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Mozambique. They are used also for transit of heroin now from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, Iran, Iraq to eastern coast of Africa, and then further on. So basically, that was the purpose of my mission, to basically assist them in facilitate the export and control of the non-traditional goods, like I mentioned, cassava, mango, fresh chili, etc. So basically, evaluation, effective evaluation and process of coding, it's again the next step, which is quite important. So evaluation, it's at the beginning, it's a processing phase. It involves evaluating the reliability and source and accuracy of information. It happened many times. I used to work in Western Balkans with Euro customs. It happened, from my experience, that we get the tip, or let's say intelligence, that certain goods will pass on the border with Bulgaria. So we, of course, based on this information, we allocate the resources. Everything was there, everything ready, and yes, we have seizure, for example, of 20 or 5 kilo of heroin. But at the same time, on the other border crossing point, there was a truck with 200, 300, half ton of heroin. So they are using so-called mules that are, let's say, sacrificed just in order to allow the other bigger shipment to pass. So you should also when you get such information, you need also to take into account that maybe this is just let's say a mule information, and focus maybe on the other border crossing that are let's say can be potential risk, of course. So basically, identifying data, it's for you especially, because you have more than 1,000 islands. Fishery industry is quite developed, and I'm sure it's quite difficult to control all this. When it comes to import, we will go further with the second part of presentation. But you need, for example, in this case, to focus on small lorries, fictitious companies, of course, in private cars, but this is not related to your specific area of responsibility. Small smuggling, practically. I will kindly ask you later on to explain this, because I read a lot of articles that are related. That there is in ASEAN especially and Pacific, there is a lot of this small fishery boats that are practically smuggling fish around. And I worked in Solomon Islands and in Vanuatu, and I saw a few cases where even customs, they don't care at the end for this, because there is no revenue, there is no interest for this to pay attention, of course. This is the when, as I mentioned before, scoring system, but with coefficient. So practically, if importer is hit, the coefficient can be 2, but behind it can be, let's say, company ABC with a score of 30 points, and then we have a handwritten manifest that is 1, and then again link with this importer together, it will give some score of 50-60% points, and then you can immediately identify this as a high risk and focus on this. So this is just one of examples. You can use your own coefficients, of course, and scoring system that is very important behind this coefficient. So practically, this is example with this scoring. From 1 to 6, it's no inspection or green. From 7 to 10, it's high risk, and then it's medium risk, and it's documented control. And of course, 11 plus, it's physical inspection. But again, as I said, this is a very general one. Scoring system should be more complex, and I think I'll try to find the case of Indonesia. Oh, sorry, of Singapore, and present to you. I'll send to you later on. So, dissemination, review, and modify of this profile. It's also, as I mentioned, process to circulate the profile, so to activate in the system. Why activate? Because this all risk management system allows the risk profile to be deactivated, but stays in the system, so it can be activated in other occasion, or when the risk appear again. And those are also important for seasonal goods. So practically, because the risk management system, it's quite demanding in terms of performance. That's why it's consume a lot of processing power of the servers of the computers, and that's why very complex. And let's say I had the occasions to visit some countries that have 4,000 or 5,000 risk profiles, and of course performance of the system is very low. I mean, you need half an hour to just launch one custom declaration. So that's why the system should be enough flexible and allow you to, of course, activate and deactivate quickly the profiles. Evaluation of feedback, we discussed already there, and modify the profile if needed. Of course, it's a must exercise. So now we are going with the targeting. So targeting is based from the prior identification of high-risk goods, passengers, and of course combined with the document review, questioning, observation techniques. So practically, you can actually decide which one to submit to a closer examination or detailed examination. So, of course, targeting it's a different for target for different risk areas. You cannot generalize. So every risk area and every type of contraband goods are require different examination. That's why it's important to also to have a standard operational procedure for different modus operandi or method of consignments. What to check, when, how, and so basically to have and those information should be available. I strongly recommend it to be available on the intranet as an aid memoir to your officer that are on the ground, on the border crossing points. So this is important for them to have those standard operational procedure, previous seizures related to if he have in front of him, I don't know, both from Vanuatu and certain type of fish inside, so you can search the database and see if there is any potential risk And if there is a risk, of course, it can be supported by the picture of method of consignment and maybe the name of the crew that was involved, because this is your internal data. So basically, or maybe not the boat from Vanuatu, can be from Solomon Islands, can be from Fiji, but basically to see the similarities in the modus operandi and to identify and to allocate, of course, to make a decision for closer examination. So as I mentioned, there is many critical elements that should be considered in the developing for, in this case, is arriving travelers. Of course, it's age, gender, ethnicity, education, occupation, item their carrier, of course, luggage type, currency, origin, frequency of travel, duration of stay, mode and purpose of travel. Another, let's say, can be who paid for and how the ticket was paid. The mules usually they're not financially. I mean, they are usually paying in cash, or someone else is paying for them. This is the first indicator that something is wrong. Then suspicious route, because now the air companies are providing the airport security, customs, they're providing with pre-arrival information, so it's very easy to identify and to select the goods, the passengers that are coming from.
And Andrea,
yes,
and I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're going to approach coffee soon, and maybe if you could just wrap it up what you're doing now, and then give everyone maybe 5 minutes just to answer some questions on this first part, because if you could just sort of wrap up now, and then we can take some questions for say 5-10 minutes before coffee. If there's any questions.
I was just to finish. I mean, it's the covering treatment evaluation of results practically based on instruction that are associated with the risk profile indicator. So the officer in the field needs to take these actions or this control, and combined with this, of course, intuition, he can extend the control. So it can also should be determined that risk is addressed and targeted properly, of course. And at the end, as I mentioned, evaluation, review, and update the profile based on their performances. So basically, this is the overall presentation. I hope it was.
Okay, Andrea. So look, thank you for the first part. I think it's challenging presenting a subject like this without a lot of interaction. So I think the next part of your presentation, I know, is going to be more interactive, and I think that will capture everyone's interest, particularly with some of the examples you're going to use. I would ask, before we break for coffee, I would ask all of the participants, are there any questions you would like to pose to Andrea in respect of the first part of his presentation, which is on pretty much the principles of risk management? Are there any questions you'd like to pose to him now on these issues? Okay. I think that is okay. Sorry, it's in Bahasa. Could you tell me what it is?
Hi, James. This is Siti. There is a question in the chat from Pak Jody, BKIPM. Pak Jody, BKIPM, apakah masih ada di floor, Pak? Oke. Halo Pak Jody. Mungkin sudah tidak ada di.
I didn't understand the question. Can you
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, I will explain in bahasa, then our interpreter will translate to you. Jadi pertanyaan dari Pak Jody adalah apakah yang dimaksud proses pengkodian itu apa? Apakah kategorisasi atau identifikasi? Itu pertanyaan dari Pak Jody.
Yes, the first, practically the first process is identification, and then is categorization. I'm not saying that it can be opposite, but again, you need to identify the risk and then to categorize. So this is the process. But don't understand this perpetuum cycle as a must tool. It can be, of course, jump from one step to another. But without identification of risk, there is no need for categorization, of course. So first step is identification of risk, and then it's categorization and prioritization. This is the normal steps. The next question, please. I see.
Maybe you can see in the chat room, Andrea is in English from Pak Tio.
Yes, return on.
Yes.
Andrea, do you want me to help you with this one? I think I might be able to give some answer to this one, or would you like to take it without?
No, please.
Yeah, yeah, just give you a break. So the question is, I'm not sure I fully understand it, but it's for internal audit, is there an assessment of the capability of the auditor? For risk management, is it also a capability assessment for the risk owner or risk manager? I can explain how it works, how it should work in terms of internal audit. So you would have, as Andreas explained, you have a process of managing risk, and you follow the risk cycle, you create profiles, indicators, you'll create a risk register. All of this is done by the operational units. The function of the internal audit service should be to evaluate the performance of those who are creating the risks, risk assessments, doing the risk assessments. So the internal audit team, for instance, would look at whether they thought the risks were being categorized correctly or captured correctly. So it's a check and balance to ensure that the risk management function within the various operational units is working effectively. That's the role of the internal audit unit within, if you like, the risk management function. If you like, would you like to add anything to that answer, Andrea?
Yes, yes. Just to risk owner or risk manager. Again, the structure, the internal structure of the risk organization within your organization. Again, it should be focused more on risk areas. So practically, risk owners should be based on the risk areas, and then risk management is the one who needs to coordinate this. So basically, yes, the capability assessment it should be focused in this direction. So to identify risk owner based on the risk areas, and of course risk manager as a coordinator of this. I don't know if I provide some. If you need some more explanation.
Was everyone happy with the answers given? Or are there any additional questions or requests for clarification?
Mungkin Pak Tio, kalau masih ada di floor untuk bisa menyampaikan, apakah sudah cukup puas dengan jawabannya, Pak? Kami juga mengundang untuk Bapak Ibu lainnya jika ingin mengajukan pertanyaan bisa langsung disampaikan, bisa dengan bahasa Indonesia ataupun bahasa Inggris karena fungsi interpreter masih tersedia. Terima kasih.
Izin Bu, mau nanya. For Mr. Andreja, can you back to the presentation? I have one question for you related to the presentation. Can you show it for us?
Yes.
Yep. The last three of the presentation.
One moment. Yeah, I was somewhere. One moment, I cannot find. Just a second. Can you see it?
Okay.
The last three.
16. Page
Number
16.
16. Okay. 1, 6. Yes.
That's edarkan in Indonesia or circulate that edarkan profil, aktifkan dalam sistem otomatis. This sentence it's mean that we have to do automatically using, I mean, like
scoring system,
computerized or something like that, or we can do by manual.
Yes.
Can you explain more detail?
Yes. Thank you for the question. This is a very good question. So basically, you can do both. Certain risk profile cannot be, let's say, included in the scoring system because you will end up with one table with one country and one table with so it cannot be based on scoring system. Sometimes you need to have a standard. So let's say hybrid approach is the best, to have both scoring system and at the same time the standard, let's say, risk profiles. Scoring system will help you, will go later on to identify a lot of, let's say, as I mentioned, country of origin, means of transport, or different risk elements, and to combine them. But when you have a certain information, for example, I don't know, fish from Greece, for example, it's not applicable to be entered in the score system. It's much better to have a simple risk profile. So hybrid approach is the best, to have both capabilities, because if the system is programmed for risk management, then it can support both approaches. Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very good question. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your answer.
No problem.
Are there any more questions?
I'm not sure. I think, James, there is some in the chat, but I'm not sure about it.
Okay, what I would suggest, Andre, because I think everybody needs a break, we can get the energy levels back again. So why don't we, particularly for you, Andre, it's been talking for a couple of hours. It's not easy. So why don't we have the coffee break now? We're a little bit behind schedule, but let's say come back. We start at 4. Sorry, I'm the wrong time zone. We start at 3. So we have a 19-minute coffee break. We start on the hour, full of coffee, full of energy. And Andrea, you can do your second part of your presentation, and then we can pick up any questions that we didn't pick up in this part. But I think everybody needs a bit of a break now. So let's have some coffee. Let's get some energy back in the room, and we'll see each other again at the hour. Yeah. At the end, at
90 minutes.
3 o'clock. In 18 minutes. 18 minutes. In 18 minutes, we convene. Okay.
See you.
So see everyone in 18 minutes.
See you.
Okay. I trust everyone has had a refreshing break. And we are due to start in 1 minute. Andrea, you're with us, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
So for everybody, the next part of Andrea's webinar presentation will focus on case studies and I think mirror analysis, which is very interesting. Andrea is also going to make a presentation on something he's done in Cambodia as well. Andrea, it's now on the hour, so I invite you to recommence your presentation.
Thank you, James. So I will present you now two specific tools that I developed. It's for presentation purposes, of course. It's not for operational use, and it's practically linked in identifying and testing the risk indicators. So yes, can you see the screen?
Yes.
It's readable, or I should zoom it a bit?
It's readable to me. I hope I'm not sure everyone else, but I can read it. Yes.
It's better how it is. Okay, so this is a system with data that is we are calling this developed with it's randomly developed with Monte Carlo simulation. Practically, it's a fake data, and it's used for test purposes, for actually presentation purposes. So basically, we have the sub header. So this is a general information on the custom declaration, or what what trader needs to submit, and the second part, it's sub items or goods that are imported. So basically, you have on one screen the general information and the goods. There is another later on that it's practically you can search the companies by commodity or specific goods. So when we discuss about the specific risk areas, here I have filtered cement, for example, or diesel imports, and with one click, basically I can create. So risk areas can be also, you can have a predefined data set for certain risk areas. So you don't need to focus, let's say, to spread and to search, because again, it's a lot of data. Here there is almost 50,000 custom declaration, average 8, so means almost 1 million items. So basically, searching all of this data, it's impossible. That's why what I will recommend to you is to create kind of a risk area where there is a predefined queries that are already integrated in the system. So basically, just to show you how this works, yeah, we can look for this company. Yeah, importer. And of course, we can say another one from here. So now we are looking for two importers. As you can see, we got almost 1,000 custom declarations that are related to these two companies. Now we can go further. We can look for a specific country of origin. This is the export country. So basically, when we identify, for example, a company, we identify the country of origin. In this case, we identify two importers and export country. So we can start to dive deep and see which kind of goods are imported. When even the officer who is involved in This is also good anti-corruption tool. Then the quantity, the weight, type of transport, inland transport, if anything. So as you can see, it's a very simple tool, but very powerful. It give you let's say possibility to search, to filter the results, actually to apply the risk indicators and slowly to get to the point, actually to create a risk profile. So in this case, can be those two companies. Country of export, it's Germany, and we can say that I don't know, custom office can be 1020. This is a code. So basically, we can create immediately one risk profile with those three elements. And as you can see, 64 within 2-3 years, so it's not a big period of time. So basically, every let's say as I mentioned, you also need to continuously check the performance of the profile. Next is to search by commodity code or HS code. So basically, now we are searching opposite. We are searching the goods and that are related to the companies. Here we did opposite. So without first companies, countries. So now we have first. It's of course the number of the SAD, commodity code, when it's created, company, exporter, reporter, custom office, and all of this from the. And we have the channel that used to be this particular custom declaration. Value, of course, and transport documents, additional documents, everything is here. So here, as you can see, we have 300,000 items. So again, we can do a lot of, let's say, filters here, and some specific filter like exact match, all keywords, any keywords, combination of all of this. And results can be export to Excel or to comma delimited for further analysis, print, or create kind of report. It can be search in advance. So this is the tool where you can test the indicators. Let's say where there is a ground for suspicious. So this system is a must do. I think no doubts that you should have it or not, but really it's needed. You cannot practically do your work properly without this kind of tools. As I mentioned, this is already filtered, and we have only the cement that is imported. As you can see here, it can be, I don't know, only specific type of fish, for example, salmon or shrimps, or it can be divided by. But of course, at the end, because there is a lot of misclassification, one type of the fish is declared as another one, cheaper, or of course. Then at the end, you need to merge all of these indicators and profiles together. That's why it's important to focus on area, but on the top, as Mr. Ahmad said, that practically both scoring and this approach also can be applied. Here, scoring is not possible, but it can be easily done to have to simulate, let's say, scoring system against the historical data, and you can see how the system behaves, what are the results, and of course, to filter as much as possible to get the required results on the screen. Also, this is a good exercise to identify the new risks, to check, for example, seizure of drugs hidden in goods in Philippines, for example, and you can search for similar, so for same vessel, say for country of export, for exporter company. So you can see how it's in the system, and of course those elements immediately needs to be put to be combined in the risk profile. The next that I mentioned, this is WCO Central Enforcement Network. A presentation was done in 2010, and yeah, as you can see, the data is from 2000 up to 2010. Now I don't have access. Even if I have access, or I will not be able to present to you. This is all outdated, and in any case, 99% of these cases are already was published in the newspaper. So why this is important? As I mentioned, first, seizures that are done where Indonesia it's involved in the supply chain. So it's a country of country of export, or country of origin, or country of departure, country of transit or transshipment, and country of destination or country of import. So basically, as you can see, it's very important and it's very valuable information for the seizures that are not done in Indonesia. For example, yes, this is explosive. Let's go with something lighter. Yes, cigarettes. Yeah, cigarettes. So basically, not all of them are Indonesia, no. Yeah, Sumatra. Yeah, for example, Sydney. So basically, it was most probably light cigarettes, unknown type, 750 kilos in premises. Starting tax also is on premises. Okay, this is train and wooden furniture. This is a good example in the US, in the UK. So in freight, wooden furniture. That was the cover load, and you can see it's 6 million pieces. So there's plenty of out of this case number. You can search in Sen online, and you can see the pictures. You can see everything, but no names. That's because of data protection, no name. But you can see the gender. You can see the age, date of birth of the person, country of origin or passport, or how many passports he had. So basically, a lot of information that are valuable for development of risk indicators. So as I mentioned, so this is not translated, but it's a weapon, alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, other means general goods, IPR, intellectual property rights, weapons, prosecutors. There is a pornography, there is a money laundering now, there is a many other categories that are included in the system. So customs is a member of World Customs Organization. They have access to this. And I think I mean, not all of you, of course, but risk analysts from each regulatory agencies, including the fishery, needs to have access in the system to get the idea. As I mentioned, you don't need even the seizures that are not done in, or there is no involved. Indonesia is not involved in the route. For example, seizures not done in Philippines. No, this is sorry for the name. I messed up. Singapore. Yeah, but again, it's Indonesia. That's it. Yeah. So Copenhagen, seizure in Denmark, other weapon except firearms in baggage. So basically, sword. So basically, seizures that are also done, and Indonesia is not involved in this supply chain, but those seizures or modus operandi can provide you valuable information to enrich your risk indicators and, of course, your risk profiles. Do you have any question related to these two presentations, or you want to? Can I continue? Okay.
I think you should continue. So no questions.
Okay. Let me go now with the. Can you see now the screen? It's Excel table. James, can you see the screen?
I can see you've got a tab open entitled Maritime Cargo Risk Indicators Pre-Arrival Phase.
Okay.
Are you going to put the mirror analysis? Is that what you?
Yes.
I don't see that. No, I don't see that.
No.
Yes, I do. I see it.
Okay. Okay. So basically, I was using the UN TradeCom, actually World Bank BITS database to collect the information related to the commodities that are under responsibility of fishery. First, this is the general one of 4 digits, and I divided EU and other countries. EU is divided because in Indonesia and many countries actually, EU, there is a general as a country, as a EU member, and that tick EU instead of particular country. And opposite, when you export the goods in Europe, it can be customs cleared in for example, in Port of Rotterdam, or in Holland, and the goods will go to Czech Republic. And that's why EU should be always separate, do a separate analysis. The second reason, it's because of the distance. EU, when you're exporting the goods or importing from EU, it can be around New Year when the fiscal year ends. And some discrepancies can be shown when, for example, exporter from Norway declare that fish are exported, and the date is, I don't know, 21st of December, and the goods arrived on the 2nd of January in Indonesia. So this will reflect in the system as well. That's why it's highly recommended when you use when you find any irregularities, you need to focus also on the previous and the next year. So, for example, you're working on 2019, as I'm doing here, and you analyze 18 and 20 as well. Why I was using 19, because 2020, due to the Corona outbreak, it was almost, or let's say, the trade went so down during the period from March till September that those figures cannot be taken as a standard or way to compare the real figures. That's why I'm using 2019, but of course within I think the latest, not latest than March 2022, you'll have the data for 2021, which is much better. So basically, I will highly recommend to compare 2021 and 2019. So basically, as I mentioned, I was focused first on a tariff heading, and you can see the differences. This is in $1,000, and the differences in the kilograms. But based on the Mr. Ahmad's request, I did just a moment. A case. Yes. Okay. So this is basically the salmon analysis. Some of them are not exclusively salmon because, for example, 030549 includes also other like smoked fish in general, but smoked salmon is inside. That's why I couldn't focus because the maximum for analysis data that is available is on the 6 digits. So basically, let me start with the 0304. It's fresh as chilled fillets, Pacific salmon, Atlantic and Danube salmon. So basically, Indonesia didn't declare in 2019 imports, but as you can see here, there is almost 442,000 US dollar imports, or 51 ton, more than almost 52 tons import of this fish. So basically, it's obvious that this fish is declared. It's practically. I don't think it's smuggled 100%. Some of them can be smuggled, but most of them are most probably declared as other tariffs. So this is pure misclassification. So basically, at the very beginning, I need to tell you that how to obtain the data. Usually, the Customs Administration, with accession to WCO and Revised Kyoto Convention, when they ratify Revised Kyoto Convention, they are practically signing a kind of global agreement for exchanging the data for investigating purposes. First, for example, you can for sure address to Norway fish authorities and ask them for this particular. Okay, it's not a big deal, but yeah, Canada. You can address to them. They can. I'm sure they can provide you with data. But the best and most reliable way is to get to the customs. So you should establish this communication layer with customs and
Andrea,
yes.
Sorry, can I just, because maybe I'm not quite clear, maybe others aren't as well, just so you can be clarify. So in the example, so what you're presenting is mirror data for exports to Indonesia, or from Indonesia. I couldn't quite. Is it?
Yeah, it's easy. So reporter name means who reported. It's Indonesia. Partner name is Canada. It's import. So basically, Indonesia imports from Canada.
Okay. So let's take with the Canada example then. So Indonesia is reporting that it's imported nothing from Canada.
Yeah.
Yet the figures in red. What are that's
the difference. It's the difference between the declared import and declared export from the partner country.
So the trade data from the WTO, the trade data is that in Indonesia, according to has received 13,196 kilos in Canada. Is that correct? But hasn't reported it in its own figures. Is that correct?
Yes, 101 ton. No, this is sorry. This is a value, 13 tons.
So it's received 13 tons according to the WTO figures.
Yes.
From Canada.
Yes.
But But Indonesia's own figures don't actually record anything from Canada.
Anything, zero, yes.
Under the setting. Okay, okay. And then you read down European Union, UK, Norway.
Yeah, I didn't divide because it's very sensitive. There is no much input from EU, only specific countries.
So
that's why.
I'm sorry. So what you think? I just listened to you earlier. What you think is that these in Indonesia, the country of origin is not being declared correctly. So the shipments from Canada are entering Indonesia, but they're not being declared as from Canada. Is that what you think is happening?
Yeah, one of possibility is this, or the tariff number 030441 is declared as a 030312. So it's misclassification or origin fraud.
Right.
This or smuggling, which I have doubts because this is a big quantity. It's not. Or at the end of the day, maybe can be declared as a honey or as other goods. You know, you never know what criminals. They're quite.
It's an interesting point is that values can be altered, but it's hard to alter weights, isn't it? So invoicing flows can change. So if you look at the specific measure, which is the obviously volume and weight, and that's hard to change. As value is much easier to play around with. So that's
weight is near to impossible. I mean, you can explain better this, but there is always difference. We discussed just a few days ago, but if we have time at the end, we can discuss about the differences in the weight.
Andrea, may I just ask you to pause for a second, and maybe we could invite some comments from those who are watching to see what they might suggest some explanations. And just so that while we've got the screen, let's just get some interaction. Let's just see if anyone has any comments. I would just suggest. Does anyone have an explanation or some ideas as to why there are some differences between what Indonesia is reporting, which diverge from what the WTO figures are saying? Does anyone have any thoughts on this? If not, you can continue, Andrea, unless no one wants to suggest anything.
Here there is a very interesting case. It's in Norway. So Indonesia declared import from Norway in 2019 for 030481 frozen Pacific salmon, but same like previous, but frozen. As you can see here, the weight is exactly the same, but the value that it's Norway declared as export is $92,000, but imported value in Indonesia is 58,000. So there is almost 1/3 of the value is undervaluation. So there is a lot of cases where you can identify, because probably with fish is much easier with the previous presentation and analysis we did for the drug agency. It's much more complicated. But in case of so this is a pure case where we can identify the undervaluation, and it's a lot. I mean, 33,000. I'm not sure what is the customs duty on this particular and tax on this particular, or any protective measures. I mean, payments. So basically, as you can see here, it's 1/3 of the price. It's undervaluation. Again, there is a big difference. Chile, it's 150,000, almost 160,000 US dollar or 21 ton. And then China, it's a big difference as well. Germany, slice in terms of kilograms. Singapore, it's a big problem. Later on, I will filter the countries, and you will see the irregularities or Singapore. I know it's a big issue for Indonesia, because a lot of Indonesian companies, they have their own companies that are using Singapore as a hub for import and export procedures. Yeah. Next one, it's Atlantic salmon or Danube salmon, fresh or chill. As you can see here, there is a less weight, but there is it's opposite. One moment. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the system, I'm sorry, apologies for this. Yeah, so as you can see, there is a higher value declared, but there is a weight that is missing. So, as I said, each of the cases needs to be checked. And as I mentioned, but actually I just started to explain, the best way to get do a proper analysis is to ask the counterpart or trading partner of Indonesia to send you the data. It doesn't need to be very detailed, but just exporter, importer, tariff number, weight, value, and then if there is a ground for suspicious, if there is of course you can open the case, then you can ask for full declaration to be used as evidence in the court or for the prosecution. But the best way and the fastest way is to get this data through the customs, because as I mentioned, with accession of in WCO and ratification of revised Kyoto Convention and safe framework, customs are practically encouraged to exchange the data, not in a systematic way, like customs to customs, on regular or systematic way. So practically in real time, or when it comes to the cases like this. So basically, my recommendation or logical way is to ask customs to address to, for example, Canada authorities, and to ask for particular tariff numbers, because you have the same here, Canada, here as well. So basically, most probably they swap this two tariff number, but you need to check and ask Canadian authorities to send you the data. And basically, I think it's you as a sole, you don't have many trading partners for importing the fish, so it will be easy for you to get. It's completely different with the Agency for Food and Drugs and Food Agency, because they have plenty of trading partners. But in your case, there are few. I mean, not more than 20, 25 in total. Yes, again, salmon prepared, preserved whole in the pieces. Again, there is it's a small amount. Those amounts you need to most probably avoid. 3 kilo in Belgium. This is most probably imported in on the border by plane, and then because Belgium they have a specific rules for exporting the fish. Most probably they was obliged to prepare the export declaration and send to. As you can see, Indonesia declared import from Belgium. So basically, you as an authority, you request documents to be prepared for import of these goods. Again, here we have opposite situation than it's 0305. It's Pacific, Atlantic, and Danish salmon smoked. So it's opposite than the others. There is a import from Singapore, which is quite big. It's 665,000 US dollar or 27 tons. But at the same time, from United States, there are 8 tons are missing. Yes, there is a lot of. I'll share with you all of this analysis, and there is a plenty of really work in front of you that I think based on this analysis, and of course you can with request to other trading partner, you should extend your search. Basically, you can do the same for 2020. I don't know what is the retention period, legal retention period for prosecute the companies, but let's say usually in EU and my country here, surrounding countries as well, it's 3 years. It's a legal, 5 years is a retention period for the documents. So basically, still have some time to go with 2019 according to our laws. I don't know what is the law in Indonesia, but of course 2020 it's just behind, and you can expect 2021 as I mentioned in March. So basically, within a short period of time, you can do a quite good analysis and merge those 3 years to get the proper figures related to import of yeah. What is interesting, and there is one export. It's 030214. It's Atlantic salmon and Danube. So Malaysia declared import from Indonesia in 2019. It's almost 24 tons or 255,000 US dollar, but Indonesia didn't declare any exports. So this is a very symptomatic case, and I think you should immediately address to Malaysian authorities to send you the specific tariff number and maybe specific weight and value, because they declared this, to provide you with data who was the company that exported the goods, undeclared exports from Indonesia. So I will open the floor now for discussion. If anyone have a question, or if you want to, so please feel free.
Yes. I'd say it's been fascinating, Andre. You've clearly put a lot of work into this, and it's very interesting how the mapping and the comparison between the WTO and the Indonesian data highlights, and the Malaysian data highlights these discrepancies. So yes, open the floor to for BKIPM. What thoughts do you have on this newer data analysis, and how do you think you can make use of this technique in your own risk management profiling?
Can I comment as well?
Yes, please. You're more than welcome.
Yes, thank you. I think that the table you are showing is so interesting. That the red and green figures. Do you think that this discrepancy could be related to the importers try to avoid income tax, the import tax, so they declare the price is lower, much lower than the actual price, because it happens when we export and then the importing partner did ask lower price to be call it declared in the paper, just to avoid call it just to lower the tax to be paid, the import tax to be paid. So that is my comment, yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Salta. I think this is a very good question, and you cannot generalize each case can be specific.
Yes, agree.
That's why what I say, it's you need to first make a risk areas. So undervaluation, smuggling.
Yes.
And then under it different HS codes. So you need to make a structure and focus on different issues. Here on this screen, maybe there is a misclassification, undervaluation, and fraud in weight. So and country of origin, and maybe even different type of classification. So you cannot generalize, but all of them are let's say in one. Also, but this is not the case with you, but let's say with Agency for Food and Drugs, there was an issue because, for example, goods exported from Turkey, they have VAT already paid, and with presenting of their custom declaration, the VAT, the tax authority of Turkey, they are sending back to the producer or exporter the VAT. So it's sometimes a country like Turkey. I'm not sure about your partners, but I don't think there is any of them that's asking advance VAT to be paid. So I think this is not the case, but maybe there is a case like Turkey. So traders in Turkey, the exporters in Turkey, they're declaring much higher value on export than is the real value because of tax return.
Yes.
But I am not sure that any of these countries, because you have a very limited number of countries that you are trading. So that's why I think it cannot be generalized. So,
yes,
yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, I agree with you, and and I think let me take Indonesia, since we are, for instance, entering to comprehensive economic agreement with some countries, let's say the Norway within EFTA.
EFTA.
So the import tax issue is no longer an issue because everything is going down, and then approaching to zero, or especially for fisheries, for instance. So I do agree with you then when you say that risk areas, is very important to make it clear. For instance, those already we are with SEPA, and then that will reduce it. Actually, describe a better risk area.
Yes.
Now, so my second comment, Andrea, is about this the discrepancies. But this is in the case of the sea transport. Let's say from Indonesia to US, it will take I don't know how many months, 2 months, 3 months, like that. So especially those approaching end of the year, let's say export in the end of November will reach, for instance, in January. So in our case, our statistics is of course this year, let's say 2020, and then when reaching the destination, it's already the next year, 2021.
Yes, it should be reflected. Yes.
Yes. So that is I think another thing.
Yeah, and also countries like, for example, I think I saw one import from Yemen.
Yes.
That you declare import from Yemen, but Yemen, because of the situation there, they didn't declare any data to UN Tradecom. And Yemen, they have hyperinflation. For example, at the beginning of 2021, the Yemeni rial was 250 against the dollar. Now 750, but customs, they are still keeping the statistical value. And when they send the data to other countries, those statistical value become enormous. So countries like Somalia, like Yemen, like South Sudan, which have they don't have a rule of law and they don't have a proper statistics, then it's an issue. But at least country of origin and weight can be confirmed. Maybe not the value in this case. You understand me? So again, you need to really see what is the partner environment. That's why I said the risk about risk at the very beginning, and political circumstances, economic, and of course disaster. If you see that there is a export from Beirut when the explosion happened, of course you cannot accept this. I mean, this is not exactly a proper example, but I say also this risk needs to be risk about risk needs to be taken into account.
Andrea, can I just add something,
yes,
maybe to Baxel, because I'm just looking at the spreadsheet that you have, the sheet you have at the moment. The thing that I noticed straight away is Singapore. You look at Chile, Japan, Russian Federation, United States, you would expect them to be, they're known for exports of salmon. What is Singapore doing on the list of an exporter of Pacific salmon?
Yes.
That just seems so, it just seems unusual that it should be there.
If I may share another presentation, another sheet, apologize. Yes, one moment. It's a good question because now we can focus on, yeah. So basically, this is on 4 digits. And here, for example, we can filter Singapore. So as you can see, from 0301 up to 0308, everything is it's red, a part of 2,000 kilos of 0301. Yeah. So I prepare also a tool for fishery agency to have to focus on also on the country of so partner name. So basically, what was the discrepancies? Chile, I think. Yes. Yeah, as you can see from Chile, because there is a zero tax. Mr. Saud, tell me if I'm right. With Chile, you have zero.
Yes.
Yes. So basically, you see there is a lot of they declared with origin from Chile because of this. So this is obviously origin fraud.
Mm.
So yes, you can see from simple table you can get a lot of information and of course raise a lot of, you know.
Andrea, can I make another observation, perhaps? And again, Axel would know better than me. But on origin, you've obviously the origin issue is a way of disguising, is a way of obtaining a preferential rate of duty, paying less tax. That's one aspect. But what I think is of concern is if the origin is misdeclared, then what about the health controls on the fish? Because if the health controls are predicated that the fish comes from, say, healthy stocks in Chile, then, but if the fish could be coming from places where they don't have the necessary health controls or safety controls or disease controls. So this is not just about evading paying duty, it's also that's a very other serious issues it raises.
Yeah. As I mentioned at the very beginning, one of the main, let's say, task or let's say of fishery agency is to protect the society basically. Secondary, or third even, it's the revenue. Even they are not directly, let's say, related to the revenue because customs is the one who is determining the value. But of course, they can assist the customs and provide them with the valuable information related to the valuation. But again, going back to your, yes, I think the protection of citizens, of society, it's primary here. And those the traders, they don't care. Their focus is only profit, nothing else. So basically, they will do everything just to try to avoid this. That's why, Mr. Salut, when you start to develop the risks, it's very important to start first with the wild more, let's say, countries, more country of origin, more tariff numbers, and then from the behavioral, this will require maybe 5-6 months of extensive control, and then to identify, based on the feedback from the controls, to identify the risks, and then to focus on them. But you need to start really with let's say, not 100%, but at least nearby, and to really identify the risk. But mirror analysis is one of, let's say, good tools that it can guide you easily where you should focus on. Of course, as James mentioned, safety and society, it's primary, and then it's revenue. But again, your role it's twofold. So you need to facilitate the trade, as I mentioned, and again, to facilitate the trade and to control the high risk assignment. So basically, this is the whole concept behind. So you need to use as much as data sources as possible, and of course fight against these irregularities. Yes, Mr. Salut, you had another question.
Actually, I agree with James that what do you call it? Duty is one thing, but as for us, as a competent authority for seafood safety and disease control, what do you call it? The disease prevention entering the country, and also the safety of the seafood coming to the country is of high priority, and that is actually the major role of the agency FQIA. This is the very important, how to call it, risk elements actually that we are working, and this should be very clear in the when we develop the risk profiles. What I'm actually thinking is that might be it's very important to identify what are the elements that should in order to develop the risk areas. When you show us the first table, we have the agreement with because we have a sort of MRA or MOU with some countries, and that of course should help us to to facilitate better trade with our trading partners with the country of concern. And we have the trade agreements in seafood, and this kind of things, you know. So I think that those are the exercise that we have to be taken within the agency, just to make it to apply the tools in the sector, in our fishery sector. Just general comments anyway.
It's very valuable comments. Thank you. And yes, this is the right direction, and I can say the only direction. So, but not to work only on this, as I mentioned. You have plenty of data sources. You need to combine all of them, and then to really identify the risk and start. Let's say when you implement risk management, really you need to start with a higher, let's say, percentage of control, and then slowly go down. So, for example, the ideal ratio between
lost you, Andrea.
I think it's a connection.
Yeah. Well, let's assume he comes back. If not, because I know that the connection has been problematic.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Oh, good. I was going to wrap up, but you're back.
Sorry,
Andrea, can I just mention, so there's one other question that I've just noticed in the chat box, but I don't fully understand it. I think it's something about wanting simpler examples. It was asked by Jody. Yes, Jody.
I'm again out. Can someone hear me? Sorry.
Jody was looking for other examples using different parameters, and he suggested COVID-19 and I think politics. I'm not sure how politics will work, but COVID-19. Yeah, are you able to? I'm not sure I fully understand, frankly. Jody, could you say it again? I'm not really sure I understand what you're looking for. I know I got the simpler example bit, but the criteria seem quite complex to me, but I didn't fully understand. Could you repeat it, please? Sorry, I didn't understand the question sufficiently. I don't know if you heard it, Andrea.
No.
Another example, a simpler example, I think, that was requested.
Oke, I think Pak Jody mau direct bicara atau saya ini Pak? Halo Pak Jody.
Dibantu aja Mas, dibantu.
Ya,
Tolong dibantu aja.
Ini Pak James. Pertanyaannya Pak Jody ini mohon pencerahan, diberikan contoh yang lebih sederhana karena kasus ekspor impor terlalu kompleks, kasusnya lebih ke arah perdagangan. Bagaimana untuk parameter keamanan pangan atau wabah COVID-19 atau politik dan lain-lain? So Mr. Jody wants like a simple explanation or sample for this one. Maybe you can explain for this. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I think I have again problem with the internet. I heard every second, third word. James, what is? Can you just please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Can you provide a simpler example, but using COVID-19 or political risk? I'm not sure that's simple. I think it's more complex. Frankly, I think this is very simple, this example, but maybe, yeah, I'm not sure how Andrea can make it simple, but bringing in political risk, I think that would make it more complex.
Yeah. Okay. First regarding COVID-19, I need to say that last year. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, correct. I hear.
Okay. So practically last year was, we can say, a year of digitalization, because last year more than 100 and 120 countries worldwide, they digitalized their processes, including the application of for licenses, permits, submitting the. So COVID-19 actually completely changed the business environment, and many countries went paperless. This is not your case, because you're paperless since years, I think, since 2017, I think that was the last. And as I mentioned, you have all of this data in advance. Regarding strictly COVID-19 and impact on trade, it was disaster, and still, I think, the consequences are huge. If you take into account the western coast of, eastern coast and western coast as well of states, there is no more space, lots for containers. The same is in Middle East. So practically the whole chain, it's logistic chain, it's broken. So that's why I think COVID affect a lot the trade, the global trade, including, of course, Indonesia. You're not isolated from this, and hopefully by 2023, I think the situation will improve. But as I mentioned at the very beginning, risk management become more, let's say, applicable or attractive because of the digitalization of global trade, including, I didn't mention this case of Maersk and IBM. They are developing the global supply chain platform for exchange of transport data. It's based on blockchain, and it's successfully, I think, implemented in Cambodia and in Sri Lanka from UNCTAD. But I think now Pakistan and some other countries are implementing. I'm not sure about the ASEAN part of Cambodia. That I'm sure. So,
Andrea, could I
yes.
maybe just bring you back to the? I mean, what I think there's a linkage between now I can see Jodie's question and perhaps what you're presenting. And what I would suggest is, so what you're fundamentally what you've been presenting is effectively misdeclaration, falsification of origin, because what's being shipped from one country doesn't necessarily be being recorded in another. So the origin is a big issue, classification. Now the risks that you mentioned, Jodie, you can't address those unless you know the origin. So for instance, with COVID controls, COVID-19 controls, I guess that they would be imposed on those countries that perhaps aren't fulfilling all the criteria for control of COVID. But if the origin of the product is unknown, then how do you know whether you can impose those controls or not? And then political risk. Maybe political risk might be in the area of sanctioning certain countries or embargoing certain countries. Again, if the origin of the goods is disguised, it's very difficult to take those actions. So I would suggest that the answer to a lot of these extra layers of risk, you have to go to the foundations, and the foundations are, how are the goods described? Where do they come from? Basically the fundamentals of the goods themselves. And I think Andrea's been demonstrating through this mirror analysis exercise that there is a lot of discrepancies between what one country is declaring and what say another country is declaring. So I think if you can able to manage this area, then I think the other risks that you've brought up, I think will be easier to identify and address. By the way, I'm conscious that we're 5 minutes running past the time, but if we have more questions, then of course we can continue.
James, I'm sorry, we can receive the questions even, in the next couple of days. It's not a problem.
Okay.
I will share with Mr. Yahari. I will share the 3 presentations, analysis, and of course he can share among his colleagues. And of course, if you need anything in addition, we are more than happy to assist you, of course. Okay. So we are at your disposal even further on. It's not a problem.
Okay, great. So then if anyone has any further questions after this webinar is concluded, then if you send an email, I think Maya, if you contact Maya, Maya will ensure that your question is passed to Andrea, and Andrea has kindly agreed to answer them offline after the webinar. So thank you, Andrea, that's much appreciated.
No problem.
If there are no further questions, I'm looking at the agenda now. Pak Ahmed, should I make the closing remarks, or would Pak Tegu like to do that, or how should we close the webinar?
I think that you can directly close this meeting, okay, because we have to go have another meeting in this office.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for that. Okay, we've now come to the end of the webinar. I would like to thank all of you for attending, and in particular, of course, a special mention to Andrea, who it's not easy presenting for 3 hours. So thank you very much, Andrea. You've done a lot of work, and it was clearly noticed, particularly in the mirror analysis. And I think that was a really interesting presentation. Also, I'd like to thank Pak Tegu for gracing the webinar with his presence, and Pak Ahmed, of course, for all the work behind the scenes, and the Arise Plus team with Ibu Maya, Ibu Siti, and Ibu Molina. Thank you very much, girls. And of course, our wonderful interpreters who have been making everything clear to all of us. I wish you all a safe journey home. I wish you all a lovely weekend, and I hope that we can see you all again at another Arise Plus webinar in the future. So I would now formally declare that the webinar is over, and goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Jane, if I may add one information, because I saw in the chat that there is some issue with the link of the online survey, but we have already taken care of it. So please, Bapak Ibu, if you can see, if you can click it, the link again, because it's already been fixed, and please provide us with the feedback or anything regarding this event. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So I think that's it then. Goodbye, everybody. Have a lovely weekend. Stay safe. We'll see you all again on the next webinar, whatever that is. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. All the best.
Bye-bye.